What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is up 1.18%, 1351 the low, 1395 the high, and 4.8 million shares being traded. So the market seems to be going through a lot of FOMO right now, a lot of optimism, and a lot of that is stemming from data. So for instance, early this morning, we did have challenger job cuts, came in at 71,000, forecast of 98,000. Initial jobless claims came in at 191 versus 220. Has not been that low since pretty much beginning of 2025, give or take. So that is phenomenal data. And normally this data would diminish the likelihood of a cut, but surprisingly enough, it's actually staying where it is. So right now we still have a 87% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. So in my opinion, the market's starting to price in, possibly might be premature, but starting to price in a 25 basis point cut. And then as well, one thing that did come out is this. So Trump to talk trade with Mexico and Canada. So that is going to be tomorrow. So in general, we might have some good improvement on that front. And that also could really dramatically help Lucid if, again, there's maybe a reduction in tariffs. One thing that's also being kind of priced in is what 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧 did mention in the recent fireside chat yesterday. So there was a lot of good things that he did state. One negative that was said at the very beginning, but starting off with some of the positives, mid-size still on point, still on the plan for late 2026, ramp up 2027 to 2028. Sorry, I'm just going based on memory. But one thing that I think is and was new information is that to kind of work around the Chinese tariffs, they started to, I guess, import stuff to 𝗪𝗡2. That was very, very smart if you think about it. So now 𝗪𝗡2 through Saudi Arabia is going to be importing all the necessary goods, and that is going to really help 𝗪𝗡2 really get off the ground. So in general, that's a good thing. I don't know if technically they're going to be now taking some of those components from 𝗪𝗡2 and shipping them to 𝗪𝗡1 to, again, further go around the whole tariff thing with China. I don't know if they legally can, but he didn't mention that. All they kind of said was to work around the tariffs, the Chinese tariffs. Saudi Arabia is ordering stuff. So that was new information. I really liked that. One thing I actually didn't like, not to kind of go into everything, but at the very beginning, whoever the interviewer was, which I really liked, he was kind of straightforward, straight to the point, but he asked 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, of the US sales, how much of that was leases? And he did say 80%. And we all know with that whole 7,500 tax credit getting removed at the end of September, like that's Lucid's way of getting that 7,500 credit is through leasing. So in general, with that kind of 7,500 gone, how much is there going to be for overall sales, American sales? So that, again, is going to be something that we'll have to wait and see. But 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧 did kind of give the wink, wink, nudge, nudge that Lucid is going to hit their 18,000 target, in my opinion. Again, that might have been code or it might have just been him being optimistic. But this is a quick summary of some of the things. I did post it on my channel as well. So if you're curious and have, I think, 39 minutes of spare time, you can definitely listen in. But nonetheless, today, no news from Lucid, no SEC filings or anything from them. And then speaking of SEC filings, there was one thing that I wanted to kind of bring up. It's not really anything that would influence Lucid right now. It could have really benefited it down the line, but for those of you that have been watching my channel, you'd know I brought up the SEC transparency rule. It was first announced in 2023, was supposed to be fully done and kind of in place mid 2024, got pushed to late 2024, got pushed to, I think it's late 2025, got pushed to late or mid 2026, and now it got pushed back again. And so they did a tweet of all places. Today, the SEC extended the compliance dates for Rule 13F-2 and Rule 10C-1A. Ultimately, in here, it does say, based on the 13Fs, it's getting pushed back to January 2nd, 2028, and the loan component is March 29th, 2029. In case you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, when it comes down to 13Fs, this right here is institutions disclosing their positions in Lucid, only their long positions, right? Anything short, it is completely voluntary if someone discloses that. So it's very messed up if you think about it, because for a institution to only have to disclose their long position and their short, they can hide, they can stay secret, they don't have to disclose that. That's a lot of grayness, a lot of manipulation. This is where the SEC transparency rule was going to benefit. It was going to force everyone to disclose their long and also their short positions. And so that should really be a natural deterrent against shorting, right? Because nobody wants to be seen as Citadel, the big bad Citadel, right? So technically, we were going to see a significant drop in shorts. But with this being pushed back, and again, the timing of this being January the 2nd, that is where you're going to start to see more of the American elections start to come up. And so, in my opinion, this is not going to come to fruition at all. And it's rather unfortunate. So I think this is, unfortunately, will never come to be, even though essentially it would be pretty good, get shorts off of a lot of American companies, but whatever. So don't trust the SEC in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. But aside from that, at the time of doing this video, shorts are returning about 48,000 shares. 14.78% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 45.43 million shares overall are being shorted. Short score is 80.82. So the higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening. And then DTC is sitting at 4.64 days. So signaling that shorts are very, very overextended. Aside from all of that, looking at the options, 409,000 in calls, 2.4 million in puts, 56% of all the options being done are bearish in nature, most of which came from this. So around 1.6 million in premiums between 850 and 855. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around 14 to 1450 by the end of tomorrow. And then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub 1350. So definitely a lot more upside is anticipated. Only 4 transactions on the secondary market, evenly divided, 2 buys, 2 sells. On the dark pool, it is a little bit more active today. And so this is obviously linked to hedge funds as well as shorting. So again, just because shorts right now are returning 48,000 shares doesn't mean that's all they did. That looks like at the peak, they were increasing about 1 million shares. So this is, again, they're very active throughout the day. So that 48,000 that they are returning is net. Aside from that, though, with it right now at 1378, it is right above this R1. So 1377 will be that key support. You really want to watch for that to hold today. And then if you see a good kind of continued momentum, 1414 is going to be that following target / resistance. And then 1318 is going to be that next strong support. So I think in general, the writing is on the wall that Lucid is going to continue to move higher. This is why almost about 2 or 3 days ago on my Patreon, I did post Lucid as a buy when it was at, I think, low 13s, 1302, I do believe. So I gave my price kind of prediction in the short term. So if you are curious, pop over there and take a look at that. But every single time I've given a buy signal on Lucid, it's been on point and very, very eerily accurate. So definitely, like I said, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. Aside from that, though, on the actual chart, it is above that 10-day moving average. So building up a little bit of momentum there from the flow. Most of this price action today is linked to algorithmic trading. Nothing really wrong with that, because same type of situation did happen back in September. So when Lucid went from around $15 to about 25, that was largely just pushed higher because of algos. So this time around, it could happen once again. And even if institutions aren't doing that much in buys, then it's their loss. But there really hasn't been that much in articles really talking about Lucid, and no new analyst rating. So it is just piggybacking off the broader market. Again, nothing really wrong with that. So let me know your general thoughts on Lucid. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And then, as I mentioned, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades and numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.